We are following the special session at the State House right now. Chief Political Reporter Amanda Rooker joins us live. So Amanda, tell us more about what's been going on all day.
Well, Stacey, we are inching closer to a final vote that could severely restrict abortion access in the state of Iowa. Lawmakers only have till 10 p.m. in the House and 11 p.m. in the Senate, and they're debating a new abortion restriction bill right now. But this debate has been going on for a while. Since early this morning, Iowans packed the State House, sharing their own personal, emotional stories about abortion, pleading their case to lawmakers. Tensions at the State House are high, and time is ticking before tonight's major vote on new abortion restrictions.
You'll be allowed to speak for 2 minutes.
People packed committee rooms, rotundas, and hallways, hoping to sway lawmakers.
A time certain has been set.
Public comment this morning was limited to less than 2 hours in each chamber, and each Iowan got 2 minutes to speak. Both supporters and opponents making passionate pleas.
Anti-choice politicians in Iowa have inflicted an unspeakable amount of pain and trauma into my life, invading my privacy and inserting themselves into my medical history. I'm tired of being a political pawn.
I was once a teenage mother, terrified of what the future held. But choosing life gave others the opportunity to surround me with love, grace, and mercy. Every child, no matter the circumstance, deserves the protections guaranteed to every American. Every child deserves the right to life.
Some argue the bill doesn't do enough to stop abortion.
I'm here representing my son Alex, who is with me today.
Including a West Des Moines mom whose son was given a fatal diagnosis before birth.
It is generally viewed by doctors as being incompatible with life, and it qualifies as a fatal fetal anomaly, which is one of the exceptions for abortion that are currently proposed with this bill. Alex is 7 years old. How can he be incompatible with life?
But others worry about the lives of pregnant women, arguing the bill would force doctors to choose between breaking the law and providing life-saving care.
At what point, when your wife or your daughter or your sister is having a medical emergency related to pregnancy, do I get to save her life? At what moment do I get to intervene? It's unclear in this bill.
A lot of reaction and testimony from Iowans today on this bill, but a quick reminder on what's in this bill. It would ban any abortion if a fetal heartbeat is detected, and it would require doctors to test any pregnant woman who's seeking an abortion for a fetal heartbeat. That fetal heartbeat can usually be heard around 6 weeks of pregnancy. The bill defines that as cardiac activity. And there are some exceptions in this bill for reported incidents of rape and incest, for fetal abnormality, and to save the life and health of the mother, as you heard mentioned from one of those Iowans testifying here. But our Ophelia Jacobson is also live at the State House, and she has been tracking some of the protests and people here at the State House today. Ophelia, what is the energy like now from a lot of these people that have been protesting these new abortion restrictions?
Yeah, Amanda, it's been a tense day here at the State House, but right now in the rotunda, it's pretty quiet. Most people have cleared the building. You can see some empty tables behind me. Minutes ago, we saw people putting signs that were left behind in the trash, but you should have seen what it looked like earlier today here. It was packed with protesters. Emotions were high, and our cameras were here to capture it all. The rotunda was filled with protesters. Like I said, emotions were high. You can just hear and see those emotions coming from the crowd, the majority of which were made up of abortion advocates against this bill. Earlier today, people on both sides spoke during a public hearing that lasted just under 2 hours. In order to comment, people did have to sign up before speaking, and protesters outside the public hearing were frustrated they couldn't talk, at times banging on the door to be let in. And although things have really died down here now, there are a couple of protesters who have been here since the morning. Some of them are in the chambers listening to the debate right now, and we caught up with some of those people.
I think it's important for them to see who their constituents are and what we feel, and make sure they know our opinions about things. Abortion is a personal decision and choice between a female and a doctor, and that it's health care.
Having a heartbeat bill pass like this, lives will be saved. And so we want to see it all the way to the end. And of course, we won't stop there.
Now, we don't know if more protesters are going to be coming back to the State House. What we do know is that lawmakers could be here as late as 11 o'clock tonight. Amanda and I will be here the entire night bringing you live coverage and the latest updates on what is happening. Amanda, I'll send it back to you.
Ophelia, it is likely going to be a very long night here at the State House. As you mentioned, we'll be here to bring you updates, but these lawmakers do have until, at least on the Senate side, they have until 11 p.m. tonight to make a decision. But we're expecting a long, lengthy, heated debate. And if lawmakers do pass this bill, the governor could sign it into law as soon as midnight tonight, which would cause abortion to be limited, to be prohibited, rather, if a fetal heartbeat is detected. But until one of those bills reaches the governor's desk, abortion in Iowa is legal up to 20 weeks of pregnancy with a 24-hour waiting period. We will continue to track how this bill moves through the legislature, and we'll bring you updates as they come. Live from the State House, Amanda Rooker, KCCI 8 News, Iowa's news leader.